Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to give you my review for the 2018, well, this is a few genres in one, this film. It's action, it's a thriller, it's a mystery, it's a horror, and it's called Derailed. And the film is directed by Dale Faire, and it stars primarily Lance Henriksen. Well, that's the main actor who you will recognise in this film. However, there are quite a few actors in it too. And this film is a bit of a mixed blend of many genres, as I've already explained. And it focuses on a fateful train ride, essentially. And the film starts with a bunch of passengers getting on a train, thinking they're doing like one of these, it's at Halloween, so everyone's in costume. And they're doing one of these murder mystery type things, and it's on a train, a bit like Murder on the Orient Express type thing. The train sets off, everything sets in motion. However, the film then takes a different twist and turns into kind of like a heist film, where the passengers are trying to get robbed. And at that point, you're not sure if this is still part of the murder mystery theme. And then, as the title may suggest, the train then derails. So then the film partly becomes a disaster film, and then inexplicably it turns into a creature feature, and then by the end it's some kind of supernatural ghost story. It's a very bold film in many ways, because it does try to blend many genres into one, with varying success, I would suggest. The film, because it treads on so many different genres, you never really know the direction this film wants to go in a sense of it's, you get yourself all set for like a murder mystery, and you think it's going to be like a thriller, and it's like a whodunit type thing. And then just as you're settling into that, it turns into the heist part of the film, and then you're like, okay, now this is taking this, and then the train derails, and then it becomes the disaster flick. And at that point I was starting to check out a little bit, because it was a bit generic, if you like, maybe. And then, like I say, inexplicably this creature feature develops from it, from this train that derails in this water, and there's like these water creatures that attack them, and they've got to try and get out of this train. And then by the end the whole thing turns supernatural, and because it never really lays its hat on one genre or even two genres, it doesn't leave you long enough to dwell on one genre, if you like. It flips from one to the other so quick, it doesn't give you time to find your bearings. But it's a very interesting film, I have to say. It keeps you on your toes, certainly. There are a couple of dodgy performances here by some of the less experienced actors, I suppose you could say, but for the most part the acting is very competently done. It's got a decent production value behind it, this film. I think the effects, certainly for the creatures, were quite an interesting design, and well, you could argue, yeah, it was clearly a man in a suit. The design was pretty impressive. There's a couple of CGI effects they try and put in that looked a bit cheap early on, when they were like, somebody was like thinking they were seeing cockroaches and things like that, and they looked pretty cheap effects. But I think for the most part the production's here, and it's a decently made film, and a very interesting idea. I'm just not sure it worked, because it just, like I say, it didn't stay long enough on one genre. If you just as you start getting into that, it would switch to a new genre, and it was a bit frustrating and a bit disjointing and a bit unsettling, because you could never really settle into this movie. By the end you were kind of like, okay, I know there's twists coming here, what's next, okay, what's next, and you get more twists all the way through it, and at the end. Lance Henriksen is really just a cameo here. He makes an appearance, but he was probably only on set for 2 or 3 days filming. He's like at the beginning of the film and at the end of the film. Everybody in between, he's not part of that part of the film, Lance Henriksen. But it's always nice to see him on screen. He lends a certain legitimacy to a film when he's in it. It's certainly one of these low budget films, and I think for a low budget film this does a fairly decent job, and it is entertaining, and there are some pretty entertaining death scenes in this film. Some of them pretty by the numbers, and some of them pretty interesting graphic when the creature starts attacking the survivors. And there are some reasonably tense moments throughout. So if you're looking for like some, I suppose, an action, horror, mystery, thriller, looking for something a little bit different, you could do far worse than this. I have seen many worse films than this on a budget like this. I think it tried to be a little bit over ambitious with its idea, and I think it could have maybe toned down a little bit. I'm not sure it needed, because it doesn't explain itself. The creature stuff, you get no explanation where these creatures come from, and by the end you get an explanation as to what's gone on before by Lance Henriksen's character, but there is no explanation of these creatures at all, so it leaves you a little bit scratching your head. But I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I was suitably entertained with this. It's not a big budget movie, don't be expecting that when you go in, but for the budget they had, I think they've done a pretty decent job with this film. So that is my review for Derailed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click the like button. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and of course I will see you all next time on Screen Stars.